Well, we've got another slightly impromptu video today, and what we've got to do is clear the decks in here a little bit. And the deck I'm particularly concerned about is now covered in scrap clay that's come out of, that's just one bucket full there. And I did have a number of buckets, 3 of terracotta and about 4 of white clay of varying sizes, but I put most of that through the pug already. So the question I'm asking today is it worth having a pug mill? I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. And so the answer that I'm likely to give to you is yes, it is worth having one. And I'm now going to show you why. So I'm just going to put this through that little pug mill there, which has a 2-inch outlet. So we usually rate these according to the size of the nozzle or the size of the extrusion that you're going to get. So we're going to get a sausage of clay that's going to be pushed out over this little melamine platform here, and that's homemade. Your average pug mill comes with one that's about a foot long, if that. And but these are all quite old pugs. That's one we use for terracotta. So I don't want to clean the pug mill out every time I change clays. And the problem with this pottery is that we're using at least 3 different clays. So we've got to have 3 pug mills. And then we're using a pug mill also to extrude tile and other profiles with, and I'll show you that one in due course. That's a much bigger pug. And that's dedicated to red clay, and if we wanted to change it over and pug white clay through it, like this white earthenware body that's going through this one, that's going to be a lot of work. We'll have stripped that machine right down. You can't just hose it out, and there's no easy way of cleaning a pug except by taking it to pieces and cleaning all the individual parts of it thoroughly. And believe me, that red terracotta clay, that's going to get everywhere. It's going to contaminate all the surfaces, and you've got to be very conscientious with your cleaning when it comes to mixing clays in a pottery. Most people don't do it. We do it because we do a lot of tile work, and when you look at the tiles, you can see that there's an obvious reason for using white clay, and actually less so the terracotta probably, but we like it, and we do garden pots as well. So there we go. As long as we're doing garden pots, we'll be doing terracotta. Now the white clay comes in white plastic bags like this. So I've got one on the bench down there, and I'll just show you that I'm going to cut that up, because when I pug this clay, I want to be able to put it somewhere where it's not going to go dry. So if I take one of these bags that the clay came in, all I'm going to do is split it up. And the useful thing about it is that they are fortunately all in different coloured bags. So I know exactly what I've put in this. And I can write on the plastic if I want to date with a marker. I can date the time that I actually pugged this, and so I can compare it with all the other bags and use the oldest one. It's good to leave clay sitting for a bit, but we don't want it to actually go off hard. So here we are. We've got our pile of clay there. Just make sure that you can see it. And you can. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to wire bits of it off, and then I'm going to take it over to the pug and do that. So right now I'm just going to cut it, and so here goes. It's been sitting on this slab now for about 3 days, and in the meantime I've done a biscuit firing in this room, and so I'm going to wire it through there and then about there, and then it's thicker at the bottom, so a smaller one down there, and then I'm going to take some bite-sized pieces out of it like that. That should be about right for the pug, and I'm just gonna grab those bits like that and chuck them in the pug. Now I've got to move the camera so you can see the pug mill. Now, I think you should be able to see what I'm doing there. I'll have a look at this afterwards and see that it's pretty self-explanatory. So there we are. Now this pug is quite an old machine, probably mid-60s or something like that. Take a few of these and put them close to where the pug is. They can come off in pretty, there we go, still a little bit gluggy. And you can see too, if I hold this up, that clay is pretty uneven. It's all the same clay. It doesn't look like it, but it is all the same clay. And what we're going to try and do is get some sausages out of here, so that you can't see that variation in colour at all, and it all looks like a very consistent and even body. So here we go, let's switch on. And what I usually do is just make a mark on the end of the table, so I know that all the sausages are going to be about the same length. So I'm just going to scribe that off there with carpenter's pencil. And interestingly, it's gone soggy here. So this is what was in the pug. Now I pushed that out, but that was already in the pug, so that's not stuff I've just put in. It's not what I showed you. It's what I put in there several times, and then at this end of it, it's already starting to get a little bit more uneven. So I'm going to bung that back in, and the reason for that is this is a little bit firmer. Actually, I'm all right here. I'm okay, so I'm going to put that on one side in case this clay gets too soft and starts sticking in the bottom of this hopper. We've got knives that chop the clay up. So this is now what's coming out of it. Now that's no good. We got to put that through again. So I'll just concentrate on this bit of clay, and I'll keep putting it through. So I'll chop off bits that I know will go back in the hopper without too much trouble, and I'll keep sticking it through there. I'm going to put the original bit in there as well, because that's going to help force it through. Take bite-sized bits out of it. It's getting better, look. Bit better. You can still see light and dark in it, so not mixed completely. It's only a baby pug, it's not a big one, but works really well. The auger in this one is steel, and it doesn't really cause any trouble. I'll show you later one that I bought from a college, and it looks fantastic. And it's the sort of thing that's often on eBay, and people ask crazy amounts of money for them. You know, these things are not worth crazy amounts of money unless you see them working before you buy them, and you know that's the answer to all your prayers in the pottery. Now there's the sausage, but we're not done here, so I'm just going to put it through a bit more. Now I know you can buy pugs that mix clay, and but a pug mill, that's what a pug mill does. It does mix clay, so you know, and I'm going to show you. So how are we doing? Not too bad. Better, isn't it? Okay, but I'm not done. So chop off those 3 bits. Push that one right down to the bottom, give it a little while to clear the auger. Put the next one in. It'll take 2 at a time. It's amazing what these little pugs will take. Right, that's what's coming through now. And it's still a bit uneven. So I'm going to push it through a bit more. Let's see if we can. I got almost 2 sausages worth of clay out of there. Now I'm just going to rest that in there like that and chop it off. It's not a difficult job. That one off. Nearly there, guys. Look at that. So nearly there. One more time. Okay, so that's nice and consistent now, no different colours, no white bits, no black bits, nothing like that, so I reckon that's pretty good. I'm going to put it on the plastic, see if I can get another full sausage out of this one. If I want to speed that up, I've just got to push more through it at that end, but what I'm pushing through it, of course, isn't going to be mixed to the same extent that this is, so I'm just going to wait until that gets to the line, and or pretty close to it, and I'm going to stop it like that. Now, having a nice long consistent sausage of clay like that is very useful, particularly for throwing clay or repeating bits of production and so on, because it means you don't have to sit there with a scale chopping off bits of clay, adding them to other bits of clay and so on. I'll show you what I mean. I've got a few sticks here, and this one says small pug, 12 ounces, mugs. I don't know if you can see that. And so there we are, 12 ounces, small pug. I turn it over and you can see I've just stuck screws through it at various lengths, so they're not various, they're all the same. Now I've marked that and cut that like that. Okay, so if I take my wire and I cut it there, 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 there and there like that, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's the clay I want for a mug, and that's a standard size sort of coffee mug, you know, not a little one, a reasonable sized one, and there you go. Now you tell me, is it worth having a pug or not? Because to me, pug it every time. Makes a beautiful job. Couple of little points I just want to add to that before I finish. We have 4 pugs in this room and 2 of them are operational. So certainly this one is, and I've pugged that pretty much through. So if I lift that and show you the inside of it, you can see the auger down the bottom of it, and it's pretty clear. So that clay must pretty much the right consistency. That's great. I'm not adding water to it, because if I do add water to these, it's going to make a mess really, and I would need some firmer clay to push the mess through, and then I'd have to put it through and through and through. That one there, that's a 3-inch pug. If I just take it, show you the nozzle. So that's a bigger one. That's a good 3 inches there, and it's quite a big pug. It's got a bigger motor on it and a bigger barrel, and that's an excellent machine. It's really good, and I push the terracotta out through that, because when we use terracotta, we make reasonable sized pots, and we need quite a bit of it. This one here is a vertical pug mill. You see, these are we call horizontal pug mills for obvious reasons. They're operated horizontally. You can get vertical pugs and they're operated vertically, and that's sitting on a, well, you can't see the stand because it's buried under bits of pug and raw material and God knows what. But nonetheless, it is a single phase vertical pug mill. There's a motor. Underneath the motor's a reduction gearbox. And then there's the auger there, which is that bit. That's where you feed the clay in. And it's pushed in by this handle and that pad there. And then it's forced through that aluminium bronze auger. So if I lift that up, you can see the auger that forces it through. and you can see the tube that it's forced through, and you can see the reduction in the bottom of the tube, which compresses the clay before it's extruded at the bottom. That's another 3-inch pug, so it's quite a big one. Now, why is it in pieces? I would say I took it to pieces to show you, but that wouldn't be true. The reason it's in pieces is because it doesn't work, and there's nothing wrong with that bit. That's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that bit either. That's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that bit, or even with this bit. What's wrong is this bit. And what's happened to that? Well, it looks fantastic, doesn't it? It's all bronze and shiny and lovely, but it's worn out. And here is where it's worn out. Now, if we just look at that, and we look at that, now there should be a gap of about 5 millimeters there, but it's a centimetre at least, isn't there? So it isn't pugging the clay, it's just forcing it back in the wrong direction, because it's got to force it in one direction, it's got to force it through that, so it's going to meet resistance down here. And if it's meeting sufficient resistance, it's just going to keep pushing it back behind but the auger's just going to keep turning and turning and turning, nothing going to happen. And you can try forcing more clay through it, as I did, but you put so much pressure on the machine, you're going to burn the motor and the gearbox out. So beware when you buy a pug. If you haven't seen it running, don't buy it. If it's an old pug like this. Now, it doesn't look like it's an old pug, does it? Looks pretty new. Looks in really good nick. All the paint's great. That's just aluminium corrosion. We'd expect that, particularly when we've got 3 dissimilar materials there all fighting for one another in the electrolysis stakes. So, I mean, basically, should be pretty good, but it's been used, came from a college, it's been used a lot. And my guess is that they stuck it on eBay, hoping that some sucker like me would come along and buy it, and I did. But I didn't pay much for it. I paid about £300 for it, which is, as far as I'm concerned, about the going rate for a second-hand pug. You know, these people who are asking thousands of pounds for second-hand equipment, unless it's something very specialised and unless you can see it operating, don't go there. You know, this pug was made by Ratcliffe's. Ratcliffe's haven't been in business now for probably 30, 35 years. I'd say that at least. Now, can you get the spare parts for this? First of all, you've got to undo that nut. You've got to photograph it like I did, take it all to bits, or mark it with a centre punch, whichever, you know, I've done that before now. But you can't get the parts. So what can you do? Well, in the case of this one here, which is operational, you know, I mean, not successfully operational, it does turn, that's what I'm trying to say. So the rest of it all functions okay. I think what we've got to do is we've got to either metal spray it, which means taking all the augers off, or we've got to aluminium bronze weld it on the ends of these paddles and build that paddle up by at least 5 millimeters. So it's going to take a professional welder an hour or two to build that up, and then we'll have to hope that we can run it without it hitting the sides and scoring it, you know, might have to grind a tiny bit off, but at any rate, if it's been mounted up properly, that paddle will operate on the back as it would on the front. So of this moulding, and so it shouldn't be that much of a big deal. I did take this apart about 3 years ago. It's still sitting there in the same state. I haven't got any heat, and I should have, and it's something I keep meaning to address. And if I did have, I'll probably just take them off and have them metal sprayed. And but there we are. just a word of warning there. You know, I mean, I paid £300 for that, so I'm not in the least bit bothered by it. And I do sometimes take them to pieces. Like I'll show you the other big one we've got in here. That's this fellow here. And this is a 4-inch Gladstone de-airing pug mill, and we use it with a variety of different profiles, largely that one there for extruding tiles and different shapes through it, so that we can make all kinds of different profiles. You know, things like this, or pieces of corner pieces, or cornice pieces like this. And so that's a specialist job, and it was a bit of a mess when we got it, and you know, now it works fine. It won't extrude this. These are 8-inch tiles here, and these are terracotta tiles. This one here is a white earthenware tile, and terracotta, and terracotta has to be slipped and then painted, which is quite a lot of work. We still like to do that, and this one here is a relief tile, so it's actually been rubbed back through the slip into the terracotta clay where those flowers are either side of the wren. Then the wren has been hand painted, and so have the leaves there. So when we do the terracotta, big terracotta tiles, they are a sort of work of art in themselves, really, so they're quite expensive. We can do the white earthenware ones much cheaper. I'll just get this one down here so you can see it, because it shows all the detail through the translucent glaze very clearly, and that's not a slip on that tile, otherwise you wouldn't see the white on it so clearly. That is a translucent glaze with cobalt oxide mixed into it to give the colour. And similarly, this one is translucent glaze. Down here I'll show you this 4-inch one. That's translucent glaze with copper oxide mixed into it to give the colour. So anyway, when we're done making this stuff, we always have bucket loads of scrap. And coming back to the original purpose of this video, that's how we recycle it all, make it ready for use again. So we don't throw any clay away, that would seem daft. And if you've got a pug mill, it's amazing. You only need one pug if you've only got one kind of clay. And I think that you'd find it a very, very time-saving device. Got to keep it now. I've got to wrap this up. No, I haven't. I've got to finish this, haven't I? And I'm going to finish that now, and then I'm going to bag this up, and I usually put about 4 sausages together, then roll them up, and possibly tape them up if they're going to be there for a while. But the plastic will keep it all nice and moist, and I know what it is in there because it's in blue plastic. And I've just shown you how I can very easily use these various measuring sticks to further assist your time-saving devices in the pottery. Anyway, I hope you like that, and I hope we see you again, and that's all for now. Thank you.